Welcome, everybody. This is the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley, and every week we bring you the stories of people who are making the world around them better. We are part of Rotary International, over 1 million Rotarians and Rotaractors, and 36,000 or so clubs, all of which subscribe to that idea, service above self. The idea that we can spend our time and our energy and our fun and our treasure and talent and all of these things just to make life better for others, and that's an awfully good way to live. And so we're proud to be a part of Rotary and organizations like it. I should add. I don't normally read the bios, but for Grandpa Scott and Grandpa Bobby, I do want to read part of their intro because I think it sets exactly the right tone for what we are doing today. Traveling is more than an opportunity to visit important cultural and historic sites, or a chance to sink your toes in the sands of a tropical resort. Travel is an opportunity to create bridges to alternate cultures and traditions. It is an opportunity to learn and to grow from that awareness, to walk in someone else's footsteps. Travel puts us in touch with people from all walks of life and experience. Through these interactions, we can learn how people from different places encounter situations similar to our own in their own unique way. Where they live, how they live, what they eat, what they value. Learning about different cultures provides a greater understanding and empathy for people around the world, which in turn can lead to greater tolerance and acceptance. These are the bridges that travel can serve to help unite our diverse planet, celebrate our common goals, and minimize misunderstandings, all with a hopeful eye toward peace. So that's just another level of cool as an intro goes. And Grandpa Scott and Grandpa Bobby, your travels over the last few years and the stories that you have shared have won you many admirers and subscribers all over the planet. And we are excited to have you tell us about your journey. So with that, I want to welcome you both to the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley, and I hand the mic over to you.
Well, thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you.
Just for clarification, I'm Grandpa Bobby.
I'm Grandpa Scott.
And yes, we are two gay grandpas. Scott and I are closing in on the end of our 45th year together. We raised 2 daughters and we have 6 grandchildren. And what happened recently is over the last 2 years, we moved from Southern California, where we had lived with them for many, many years, to Arizona. And we didn't want to sever that strong connection we had with our grandkids. So Grandpa Scott came up with a great idea.
I usually do. Well, our grandkids were on social media. So we figured the best way to be in front of them is to go where they are. So we set up the YouTube channel, TikTok, anything that they were doing. We just started posting our travel and in the hopes of encouraging them to come along with us or take local trips of their own. And it just was one of those things where we thought, well, if we can get a couple of 100 subscribers, that's wonderful. And then last December, a young influencer from Canada, he had found our channel and he put a compilation of our videos together and put it out on Instagram to his 26,000 some followers. And he said, hey, these 2 gentlemen, these 2 grandpas, they're great. They do some wonderful travel and wonderful adventures. They're not getting views. Let's give them some love and let's change their lives. And he did. We had a couple hundred now we're at 97,516.
And the nice thing about that is it really helps to spread our message about connecting with people. As we've always said, travel is more than just seeing places, or as we said, sinking your toes in the sand. What really impressed us over the years is how travel makes connections to people and how that can change the world by really building those bridges. So we thought today that we would share some of those specific instances of where they changed our lives and they had a meaningful impact. So why don't we go to our first picture? The first slide we're showing here is a wonderful family that we met in Positano. Now, I don't know if many of you remember the movie Under the Tuscan Sun, but this family ran the hotel where they filmed the Positano scenes. And so we struck up a conversation with them, of course, about the movie. And one thing led to another, and we really started to understand them as a family. we're showing Maria on the right with her son, John, then John's wife, and then their son, Giuseppe, on the end. And we really came to understand how this was a family-run business that had been in their family for many years. And what was really great was to understand how they lived together, how they worked together, how they encountered tourists and people from all over the world. And the great thing was the name of the hotel was the Hotel California. Now, this wasn't named after the Eagles movie, but it was because John Sr., who has since passed away, always loved California, but he never got a chance to go there. He was always so busy with his hotel. So Wick lived in Southern California at the time. And when we went back home, we collected a vial of sand from the beach of California, and we sent it back to the family in John's memory so they'd have a connection. So we have maintained that connection through staying on social media together and emails. And it's wonderful to see how their family grows and let them know our different news so that we can share. And it's a great bond.
The next is I'll take over here. This was in York, and we were
Oxford.
huh?
Oxford.
Oh, Oxford. I'm sorry, senior moment. And it was Oxford, and we decided to do a punt tour there on the river. And we met this incredible young man, Ben, who was undergraduate at Merton, Luton College there, one of the Oxford campuses. And we had a great opportunity during this tour to talk to him. Here we were. It was kind of two generations, the old folks like us and this young man. And we talked about his plans, his goals, how he saw the future. And he shared with us quite a bit. And it was just remarkable to see kind of this intergenerational discussion and dialogue going on this punt boat. Our tour was supposed to end, I think it was a 25-minute tour, but he kind of took a little longer because we were enjoying it greatly. But shared with some of his anxieties, which reflected some of the anxieties that our grandkids have about their future, but then also about how he was looking at it from a positive stance. I think his degree, if I remember correctly, Grandma Bobby was chemistry. And it was just remarkable to speak to this young man. And we have attempted to keep in contact with them. But studies get very hard at Oxford. So we haven't had quite the interaction that we had initially, but we do reach out to Ben. And we just wish him the best in the future because he was remarkable in what he shared. He's very smart and very articulate. And we walked away realizing if he is part of the future, our world is going to be in a very good place.
You go to the next picture. So we titled this Getting Lost. And what happened is we were touring around Tuscany one day. And as you know, it can be very easily driving to take a wrong turn. And we got lost and we ended up in a small medieval village. And it just so happened that this was a big celebration day. They were having a parade, a festival, costumes, food. And we were just fascinated by it because we had never seen anything quite like this. And the entire town was participating. So it gave us a chance to really talk to the people to understand about the culture, about their history and the pride they were taking. And what they do is each of these different areas represented and their flags show their different clubs, if you will, almost like a Rotary Club. And they do philanthropic activities throughout the year in their own community. And then they come together and celebrate. And so it was a wonderful chance to understand how other people and other communities, how they're ennobling their heritage, but also then serving others. So it was a really terrific opportunity. And it all came from getting lost.
Yeah. This is in London, England.
Yep. So these are two Bobbies that we actually met on the old London Bridge. And we were talking, and of course, we just wanted to understand what it was like to be a law enforcement in England, because in the United States, we know there is a lot of controversy over law enforcement. One of the main differences is that they do not carry weapons. And it was interesting. We needed to ask them, how does that make you feel? How do you respond? And they said they found it much more approachable to people because people knew that they were unarmed, but they were there to help them and to serve them rather than to be an enforcement. So that was a very interesting perspective. And it was interesting just to see the different lifestyles that they led, how they talked about, how it was expensive to live in London and how they had to live outside the city, very much like our public servants do here in the US. So learning about how public servants react and what their life experiences also opened our eyes a lot.
Let me see. Let's go. This is kind of funny. We were in Pompeii and we were standing up on one level and we looked down and we saw these two Buddhist monks. And of course, I and Bobby love to meet new people. That's part of the joy of traveling. And I said, Bobby, I anticipate we're going to run into them again. So let's learn how we're supposed to greet them because we did not know. So here I am ripping out the cell phone and I'm looking up, how do you greet Buddhist monks? Do we bow? How low? How long? All of this kind of stuff. And we never did get to meet them. But what came out of this is basically you just go up to them and if you speak English, you say hello and smile. And the Buddhist monk who wrote the piece that we were reading said, monks are very good at reading what is behind a smile. And so I'm sorry that we missed them, but we looked for the opportunity. And that's kind of what this is about. Look for opportunities when you travel to meet new people that you may not have the opportunity to meet in your own country. And I just laugh because we did prepare for an eventual meeting with these monks that we never did get to have. But
and the other thing too about in historic sites around the world, people from all over the world go to gather to them. So for example, in this instance, it wasn't just about meeting people from Italy and understanding how they encountered their country and their site, but also other people from all over the world. And so when you travel, many of the historic sites or landmarks are melting pots, bringing society together in a microcosm. And it's a wonderful opportunity to understand and educate yourself about people.
Yeah, because I did not know, and I don't believe you did, Grandpa Bobby, that there is a very thriving Buddhist community in Italy for hundreds of years. And I did not know that. Ready for the next? This is probably one of my most favorite interactions. We're in Dubrovnik, and I
Free Game of Thrones.
And I fancy myself as somewhat of a photographer. I love photography. So we're out and we're just taking lots of shots of Dubrovnik. And we came across this group of wonderful women who were sitting on these steps and they all had ice cream cones. And I said, Bobby, I would really like to approach them to see if they mind if I take their photographs. So we did, and they all said really wonderful. So I took off. I guess I took about 12 to 16 shots, but they also gave us the opportunity to talk to them. And what this group of women do is once a year, they get together in a country, in a city, and they all gather for ice cream cones. Now, these women come from Turkey, from Greece, from all along the Mediterranean. And they're friends, and they've been doing this now for years. They don't talk politics. They don't do anything but get together for ice cream in a city and catch up with each other. And it was just remarkable to hear how they're all of all faiths, and some are not of no faith, but they would get together and chat and just laugh and share stories about who had new grandkids, marriages. And it was just remarkable. There was so much love, so much compassion, and so much respect in this group of women that I left, and I have not forgotten that interaction in over 10 years.
And we just think it's a great metaphor. Why can't we all just get together and have an ice cream together?
Yeah.
And we think that, in summary, is part of what travel is and how it can really become a service to others by forming those bridges, by forming that understanding of culture, different aspects of life, and bringing that knowledge back with you, sharing it with your family and friends, and helping to broaden our understanding that we're more alike than we are not alike. And we hope that travel can really help bridge that, connection to humanity.
Yeah, and our motto for our little YouTube channel and Instagram channels, we kind of distilled all of what we just said into this phrase: travel your heart. When you go out, have an open heart, have an open mind, just experience everything you can, because you will learn so much from that. And we know that your Rotary Club in Silicon, one of the key focuses that you have is education, and travel can do that for you.
So we've made a lot of different travel videos. We started it off, as Grandpa Scott said, to educate and encourage our grandchildren. But we have found that people have been responsive all over the world, people who may not travel or hadn't thought about going on an adventure. And we think that maybe in some small way, like maybe throwing a rock into a pool and creating ripples, that we're getting people out there to start connecting with one another and connecting with people around the world.
And it doesn't have to be around the world. It doesn't have to be abroad, folks. You can have this on local travels. You can have this on a picnic to a local park. Because everybody's not blessed like we are with the time and perhaps the money to do some of the traveling we've done. But you can, put something together as a picnic and go to the park and meet people. You can go for a stroll around your neighborhood and make connections with people that you haven't talked to before. There are all kinds of opportunities out there for you to travel your heart.
Well, I love that message. That's fantastic. Grandpa Scott, Grandpa Bobby, what a wonderful message. Let me quickly introduce the small group that we've got on today's recording. So my name is Rushton. I'm in San Jose, California. You've met Grandpa Scott and Grandpa Bobby, and friend of the club and the founder of Nature in the Classroom, Ernesto Rodriguez in Southern California. I'll start the questions. Grandpa Scott, Grandpa Bobby, when we think about what it means to travel, I mean, so much for you comes down to communicating with people, that you'll approach people, that you'll say hello, that advice from the Buddhist monk who put the page up on how to approach Buddhist monks is perfectly good advice, right? Just walk up to people and say hello. And I think that in any setting where people are traveling a lot, people are kind of primed for that. But when you come back home, although they may not be, you've also got stories ready to go for the people you know, right? How would you say your immediate family and friends have responded to your travels and also to the fame of your travels?
Can I take this one? Okay. Our family is unique in that they keep us very well planted to the earth. Okay. They give us a ration about being influencers now and famous, and that's good. But they also appreciate what we've done and how we've reached out to other people. And they love that. The six grandkids that we have are called the originals, and all of the other grandkids that we now have worldwide, they call themselves the adopted. And there are sometimes little strange interactions between the two on Instagram and all that. And it's just wonderful to see that our two daughters, they will always keep us with our feet firmly planted on the ground.
And the nice thing is we're actually in the early stages of planning a trip to Japan with two of our grandkids and our daughter, because we've helped to show them that it's not so mysterious, that you can do it. You do your research, and we've gone online with them, looked at different shows. YouTube has been a great opportunity to educate ourselves and them about travel. So we've really encouraged them, and in the future, we'll be doing a trip with them.
Yeah, they're very much into anime and cosplay.
in Japanese culture. So it's going to be a great opportunity to explore it with them.
Yeah, we're going to learn a whole lot of new things.
Excellent. Well, having returned from Japan last week, I'll send you the document that I send all my friends when they're like, "I'm going to Japan. What do I need to do?" So I'll send that info your way. I want to come back to something you said in the last answer, though. You talked about the originals and the adopted. One of the things that's quite powerful about your channel, your series of videos, is that there are a lot of people who kind of respond to you as grandparents,
Yeah.
right? Can you talk a little bit about that and how that's kind of come about over time?
I start that one. Well, what is fascinating is when we actually did think that our channel might be viewed by people other than our grandchildren, we assumed that it might be people in our age group, to encourage them how to travel, give them tips and ideas. But oh no, we had been looking at the studies. Our demographic is primarily young people, 18 to 40 years old. And we respond to every single comment that we get from them. And what we're learning is there is a great need for grandparents around this world, and not just in the United States, but we have adopteds from as far as Reunion Island to India, to Russia, to Argentina, all over the world. And many young people have expressed that either they may not be connected with their grandparents because they may be part of the LGBTQ community, or their grandparents have passed away, or just because they don't live close to them and they really miss that in their lives. And they just find that our interaction has been really helpful for them. They like to see that an older couple can still be active. As we always like to say, just because you grow old doesn't mean you have to grow up, and that you can have a long-term healthy relationship. So that's been very inspiring for us.
One of the things, if I may rush in about that, is we come, our age group as gay men went through the HIV/AIDS crisis, and we lost a lot of friends, and there was a whole generation of gay men that aren't here anymore. And so a lot of the role model for our community, who would be normally the seniors right now, they're not there. They're not there. So a lot of the younger people who are in our community, and I'm just focusing on that right now, say it is wonderful to be able to see and connect to a face of a senior gay person and understand that we don't have to be afraid of growing old, that we can grow old, that there's life after 30. And if some of the stuff that we have been able to reach out and give them, then we're happy to do that.
That's a great reward.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That's really powerful. Just in the last couple of years, we had a presentation from John Cunningham, who is the National AIDS Memorial Chief Executive, and he gave us a very powerful story about the AIDS quilt and the ongoing work that's a part of that. So in going to these different places and in meeting all of these different people, there is, I think that sense that having seen a bunch of your videos and the very natural interaction that you have with each other, for them there is this idea that this is a part of my family, right? Can you talk about like some specific people that you've met along the way who may have kind of responded to you in that fashion?
Yeah, we were just in Sitka, Alaska. We were invited up there by 2 subscribers. And while we were up there, they said they wanted to hold a meet and greet. And boy, did the city of Sitka come out and support us. They were so wonderful. So we're at this meet and greet, and this wonderful young lady and her mom came to the meet and greet. And the young lady, who I didn't want to say their name because I don't have the permission yet, but she came up and she was nearly in tears saying, I don't have grandparents, and you don't know why watching your videos and watching you two mean to me. And then the mother came up and says, you don't understand what you've done for a lot of people. And Bobby and I are just looking at each other because we're going, we just did some travel videos, but this mother she says, no, look, my daughter she cries sometimes when she sees your videos because she needed this. She doesn't have grandparents. So that was just recently in Sitka.
Mhm.
Well, that's amazing. And of course I would guess that you're getting kind of similar reactions from people like the Canadian influencer who kind of set things in motion for you. Can you tell me more about the connection with him? I mean, he obviously went to some trouble in putting together like a compilation set of videos.
It was fascinating because it came to us as a complete surprise. As Scott mentioned, this just happened the past December. And one day Scott came to me and said, "Oh, you've got to see this. This young man somehow just stumbled either through an algorithm or just in searching, came across our videos. And he thought they were really well produced, which is a testament to Scott. He does all of the technical aspects of it. I'm just the on-air talent. And he created this lovely compilation video that were snippets of all of our different travels with some text below it. And it was so endearing. And we reached out to him to thank him. We were very humbled by it. And then it just snowballed from there. And since that time, we have had people reach out to us to do podcasts, to do interviews, to do different articles, because, as Scott mentioned, there might not be as many senior gay couples out there anymore who are traveling. And as grandparents, it gave a different or fresh perspective on their lives.
Now, this young man has done it also for some other channels that he liked and really loved, and especially those that he thought were of value, but were not getting the views they needed. And so he's like taking this on himself to, say, you need to look at these videos.
And other people have promoted us as well. They may not have made compilation videos, but if they have followers, they say, "Hey, I found these guys. We think they really have something to offer. I encourage you to look." So it's part of a community of people that really kind of help one another and reach out.
And we're honored by it. We're touched,
very humbled.
Humbled. And amazed by it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it shocked us, quite honestly.
Well, it speaks to the power of sharing stories honestly and compellingly, right? Our club is very much about, how do we tell the stories of people who might inspire you to make the world a better place? And so that happens via our YouTube channel, but also via our podcasts. And Elton, our member who puts that together, does an amazing job with that. So hopefully, we'll help you grab another few subscribers out of this because they're fantastic stories.
Thank you.
So for all of you watching, I'll actually wind things down and then hand it back to Scott and Bobby for the final words. But if you scroll down a little bit, you will see the link to their YouTube channel. You can go there. You can subscribe. You can watch the videos that they posted. You can also learn more about us if you are on the YouTube channel or you are on one of our podcast pages by coming to our site, which is rotary.cool. That's the shortcut to get you to SiliconValleyRotary.com. And we love that we have an online and asynchronous service club that gives us the opportunity to share stories of inspiration from around the world. Please leave a comment if you're on our site. At the bottom of our meeting page, you'll see the Discuss section, DISQUS, and you can leave thoughts about what you saw in this presentation. You can also leave thoughts about the other pieces of our meetings, for example, the Learn Something New that Shags put together, the inspirational videos that I do, the jokes that are out there, just all the different pieces that we add to our meetings, and of course, the President's greeting. We love helping people connect to service opportunities. As we always like to do, we hand it back to our speakers for the final word. And so, Scott and Bobby, what would you like people to have clearly in mind as they finish watching the video or listening to the podcast?
Well, first of all, we'd like to really thank you for inviting us. I know our goal message is connection, reaching out to people, whether they be local or whether they be around the world, whether they be in person or whether they be online, because we really feel that by making connections, human connections, we really create that bridge that brings people closer together. So if you'd like to hear more about us, you can become subscribers at twogaygrampustravel.com. And we've also started a podcast because people wanted to know more about our lives and not specifically travel. So you can join us wherever you get your podcasts at Travel Your Heart.
Yeah, that's the podcast. I guess that what I'd just like to leave with, Russell, is, if we all go out, whether locally or abroad, and we meet people, we communicate with them, it's really hard to hate somebody that you shared pizza with. So, okay? And I guess that's the takeaway. And spend some time, get to know folks. It is a beautiful world out there. So it's a wonderful world filled with miraculous people who do some incredibly wonderful things. And their stories are just a delight to listen to. And take the time to do it.
And as we always say, travel your heart.
Well, the delight is ours. Thank you again. And everyone, we will see you next week.
And thank you. Bye.